How's lunch? Welcome back, guys. Hope you all had a good lunch, right? So it's a lazy Saturday afternoon. Okay, so now we're going to kick things up a little bit, right? Let's get into the exciting and fun parts, well, which is the guitar. Okay, not to say that the drum and the bass is boring, lah. Okay, right? But because I'm a guitarist myself, so let's have some fun. Okay. All right. So earlier on, already kind of shown you and the process of how I work with the guitarist first. Let's work on the sound, work on the tones. Make sure that whoever you're working with, make sure that they're happy with the sound of the amp, of the guitar tone, of whatever effects. Right? You find all that sound first. Right? Work on all the sounds, work on the tones first. Once they're happy, right, then it's your job, right, as the engineer or as the producer to try and capture that sound. Okay, so everything's all hooked up, right? So as I mentioned earlier, we are going to be recording this not only with the two microphones, right, the dynamic, the ATM 650, and the Bayer Dynamic M160, the ribbon, right? Not only do we have the two mics that are on the speaker cabinet, uh, but we are also going to be recording with the DI. So I've hooked it up, the Radial JDI. Okay, I've also brought in Hazim's TS9 pedal, right, which is acting in this case as a sort of a more of a booster, lah, right, in the classic role of how we use and we employ a kind of a tube screamer like pedal. Okay, so the amp, we've brought it in here. So in some situations, this is kind of nice. It's kind of ideal because it allows us to kind of tweak the amp tone right in here as we are listening to how it sounds in the speakers, lah. Right. Otherwise, sometimes I have to walk out and then tweak it outside and then come back in again. So this is kind of useful, right? And as usual, first things first, right? Same thing. Anytime you're dealing with fretted instruments, bass or guitars or something like that, very important. Can you remember what's the most important thing? Check your tuning. Okay, right. So right. Check tuning before every take. Right. So even though we checked before, I would like to ask Hazim, can we let's double check the tuning again? Just plug it into input one, because again, coming into this room, the temperature is a little bit different and all that. So with a wood based instrument, so we always have to check the tuning, lah, right? So for every take, okay, I'm going to be recording 3 tracks. So two on a mic, right, and one which is a DI track itself, lah. So this DI track is going straight into my interface, right, into channel one of the interface. The other two are coming in through the Focusrite preamp that's going into my AD converter, and that is going via SPDIF, right? The digital into the SPDIF inputs. So I'm using an external preamp, right, and also an external dedicated AD converter, right? Because this one is a lot higher, it's a lot higher end, lah. Now, obviously, if you don't have, it's perfectly fine. The sort of quality that you can get nowadays from even most common interfaces nowadays, it's really really good. It's so much more miles better than what they had 10 years ago already. So you'll be perfectly okay and fine if you were just to go direct into the interface. Okay, so but in this case, right, because we have the equipment. All right, now we're not going to get into the debates of I'm not in this case I'm not going to get into debates of oh, what can the preamp do and all that. I'm just going to kind of show you and share with you guys what I have lah. Okay, so the improvements that you get, I would say it's you get very small improvements, compared to, let's say, if you just plug it into that. Same goes with the converter, but for me, again, it takes years of kind of listening and trying to listen. The better the preamp is, right, and the better the conversion, the more 3D the sound. That's the kind of the way I would describe it lah. It's a little bit more 3D. So instead of, let's say, if we're kind of using maybe a cheaper preamp or cheaper converter, you hear the sound that's in front of you. You hear a sound that's supposed to be center. The image, especially when we talk about stereo image, maybe sometimes be a little bit. It's not really center one. It's like you don't hear like one pinpoint sound source in the middle. It's kind of like spread out a bit, so it's not really dead center. But with a lot more better preamps and better AD converters, wow, when you hear something center, it's like really center. Then especially when you place things in your stereo field, you can hear it a lot more precisely. Like if it's here, oh, it's exactly here. It's not like a roughly kind of you don't get like a rough approximation of the left. You really hear, oh, it's coming from exactly this direction, right? So, but for that, to get that kind of improvement, it's the significant investment in cost lah, right? Because AD converters and preamps itself are not cheap. This AD converter itself, just two channels. It's a stereo, all right. It can only take in two channels. You are looking at it's like double the price of the Focusrite Scarlett interface. It's double the price. Yeah. So for two channels, but that's for like the grade A premium kind of AD converters lah. So yeah. So whether or not does it give you twice the improvement in quality, you have to answer for yourself lah. Okay, so cool. You got it tuned, Azim? All good. So let's plug it back in. So how on the guitar side, how is our signal path? Okay. First thing first would be the DI. So we have the DI first. So the DI box, right? The XLR out from the DI is going straight into the interface. So that gives me the clean signal that I can record with. And then from the DI, you have the true output. So the through output is going to be going firstly into the pedal, right? And then from the booster pedal into the ampler, right? And amp, of course, right? The speaker cabinet is outside there in the live room. First of all, let's kind of work on, I've kind of worked with Hazim and sort of set a kind of comfortable monitoring level already. So let's try and do a take. Okay, so we do it separately lah. So we do the intro first until you get to the last chord, right? Just before the verse. Just hold and sustain that last chord. Yeah, right. So we're going to do all these parts, separately. Okay. Now, of course, in a live situation, right? Live is live lah. But in a recording, we want to inside a recording, we want everything to sound a little bit bigger, more real, more larger than life. So one important thing is that you want the parts to transition with each other very naturally. So that's why we're gonna do like things like the intro and the choruses. We're all gonna record it separately, right? So I would focus on just working on this tone first, so you don't have to switch around. We record all the parts that are using this particular sound, this particular setup, right? Then only you move on to another one. It's a more efficient way of working lah, right? So instead of doing like one by line, one by one, having to change sounds, Just do everything, whatever's using the same sound, the same patch first, and then we go. Okay, so let's start with. Let me give you the click track. Okay, let's hear it. How it? Nice. Okay, cool. So let's just try a little. Let's just try one take. Okay, so let me arm the tracks. Let me just bring this down here so that you guys can see. So 3 tracks I'm recording first. Okay, so the distortion 160, that's the M160, the ribbon, the dynamic, which is the 650, and the DI. Okay, now you see that how I sort of label my tracks this way. My advice and my recommendation to you is whenever you organize and you label tracks, to try to give them a proper description. In this case, I name it after the mic, the what the model of the mic is. You see. So the part is the distortion part, and then I'm using the M160, so I label it as a distortion 160 lah. The reason is because let's say if you're ever gonna be again, if you're working with other people, if you are eventually going to send this off maybe to a mixing engineer to mix, when you export and when you get the files, when you send files to people, to anyone else, whoever you're working with, you want it to be able to, so that when the person loads the files or imports the files into the project, they look at it, they immediately know what it is. So there's no questions, there's no there's no doubts like, what is this? I'm not sure what is this. Immediately, right? You're right. They know, they look at the file. Oh, it's a distortion. It's recorded with this kind of a microphone, and it's supposed to be. I also put an L there. It's supposed to be on the left, right? So there's a left and there's a right. You remove any kind of confusion on the other person's side. The person doesn't have to call you back or message you back and say, actually, what is this? What is this supposed to be? That's one way. Or second, the hard way is that, oh, I have to go and listen to it one track. Oh, this is that. I have to solo, listen to it. Oh, okay, this is actually meant to be a like a pre-chorus, bridge, or verse punya part, right? Now, the worst case, and something you will never want to do, don't ever let me catch anyone of you doing this, okay, is if you send a file and then you don't name the track and then you export it and then it comes out audio 1, audio 2, audio 3, audio 4. Oh my God. If that happens, all right. Pening kepala lah, right? Right. For me. Now, if you do that and you send it to some overseas mixing engineers and all that, they will call you back, they will reject it and say, please rename your files properly, right? Otherwise, we won't work with it, right? You have to, right? On that level of professionalism, you have to label your tracks and label it properly, right? Clearly defined. Again, so I look at it, engineer looks at it, who has never worked or touched the project before, looks at it. Okay, I know what it is already. Yeah. Okay, so let's go, right, for a sidetrack, right? So let's maybe I just give you 4 bars, right? Let's just go for a take, okay? So let's just do the intro. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Cool. All right, sweet. All right. So exactly that's really good. But let me just listen back to the take and see. Okay, let me just listen to the playback. So on playback, we are just going to listen to the mic'd tracks for time being. Okay. Okay, let me solo the guitars for a while. I've got a feeling that we probably need to turn the bass down a little bit. Can you just play, Hazim? Just play? Yeah. I think it's the resonance. Yeah, I felt it was a little bit too much low end. Because again, from out there, sometimes it may sound right, but it's very important to always listen in context here in the inside the control room, lah, right in front of the accurate monitor speakers, so you really hear how it is. So, if you with more experience, right, you are able to get it to translate better, right? So if you hear out there, right? And then coming in here, you sort of know how much low end is right or what's enough. Well, but because I'm not so familiar with how the amps would sound out there, so that's why I need to sort of adjust a little bit, lah. So I just brought the resonance down a bit, a tiny bit, and the treble just down a touch. All right. So now it should be just nice. Okay. So cool. Uh, let's try it again. Okay. Let's do it one more time. So exactly like that. When you get to I think when you have the little chucks at the start, just give it a bit more. Yeah, just dig in a little bit more, okay? Okay, well, here we go. One more time. Let's get out of solo first. Okay, ready? 4 bars. One, two, one, two, three. Two. All right, cool, right? So as you can see, I would rather let it sustain, right? So for that last chord, the last D chord there, just let it ring, just let it sustain, okay? So you see how, it will sort of blend and it flows in very seamlessly later on. Okay, we can always let it ring out a little bit longer because we can always fade it out, okay? So as you can see, 3 tracks, all right? Okay, and this would be the DI. You can see obviously the DI one looks a bit more peaky like that because that's the nature of a DI signal. Okay, and these ones because they're running through the amp circuitry, they're already slightly compressed. It's like slightly squashed. There's actually one extra benefit of recording with the DI this way. It's for editing. So for example, right, if I need to sort of edit maybe one note was a little bit early or a little bit late or something like that, and it's just a tiny bit and you just want to edit. So you don't have to like, re-record everything again or something like that. When you have a DI, it's a lot easier to visually see because you see, with an amp track, you can't see where the start of the note is. It's not very clear. With a DI, very clear, you know exactly where it is. So if you just snip the edit there, then you can edit it. So that's actually one of the benefits of using just record with a DI. Even though maybe in the end you're not going to use it, right? That's just one of the advantages. Okay, cool. So let me just listen to this playback and then I'm gonna pan this all the way to the left. Okay, cool. Sounds good. Can we try it slightly differently here? Um, can we can we kind of keep all of the chords more of power chords? Because on the G, you went on the open G, right? Can I just hear it? Yeah. And B, the A on the open A is fine. Yeah, that sounds better there. Okay, all right. Okay, switch back to going with the open G. Yeah. Yeah. I prefer it with the power chord because you can hear the chord suddenly when it goes to an open, it goes different. So either we do that separately as another layer on top lah. So sort of it helps to maintain the distortion part a little bit more consistent sounding, because it sounded like when it gets to the G, it's like different. It's like a different sounding chord already. Okay, you just play it again. Do one more time. Cool. All right. So when you switch from the A to G, you make sure that it's got to be. I know it's a little bit harder, is it? So you need to be a little bit faster when you switch back to the G. Okay. Let's try that one more time. Okay. Here we go. Same place. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Okay. That's good. Playback. Okay, great. So now let's do double. We're going to double track, okay? I think last week, Ben, you had a question about double tracking, okay? So if you want to really get a wide stereo image of a part, there are several ways if you want to get something in stereo. Yes, you can mic it in stereo if you want to, right? You can mic it in stereo, either have two microphones and then you know, put left or right and then you get a stereo image lah. You pan it left or right lah. I could also do this with the two mic tracks and pan it left right, but because they are so close together, when you pan it left right, your stereo image is not very wide because it's only seeing that tiny wide portion. Okay. Or you can always put a stereo microphone, set up a stereo mic array further back in the room if you want to capture a stereo. But then when you do that, then you're capturing so much of the room ambience, you don't really get the immediacy. Okay. Again, there are many ways of doing it, but really the best way if you want to get the wide, you know, what we associate with the big fat, you know, wide kind of a mixes, right, is to double track. Okay, so basically what it means is we're going to record the same part exactly identical, played exactly the same way, right? But record it 2 times, then we pan it hard left and hard right. So let's give it a try, Hazim. Let's double track it, yeah? Okay. Here we go. Same place. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay. Spot on. Let's listen back to it. So let me pull up both. So the first one's going to be pan hard left. The other one's going to be pan hard right. All right. So this is what we got. When you double track, then you get a wide mono. Okay. Right. And also for the reasons I explained last week, you can't do it with just one and then copy it left and right, because what you're essentially doing, because it's the same thing, it just becomes mono centered but louder. Okay. So let's move on to the next track. Okay, so the next part I think will be in the chorus, right? Okay. All right, so let me just do a little fade out here. All right. So one thing when we do edits, right? Anytime we do editing, be it, you know, when we did drum editing last week or any sort of editing, you always have to remember we are working with music. So any sort of edit decisions, right? Anything that you edit has always worked and functioned in a musical way. So even in this kind of a fade out, right? So I'm going to kind of fade out and have it fade out exactly after 2 bars. See? So it has a smooth fade out. So if you have it smooth, fading out like 1 bar and 2 measures, 2 beats, or 1 bar and 3 beats, which is more of an which is more of an odd timing, it sounds a bit unnatural, the flow. So this is going to be a 2 bar, well, technically 4 lah, because of the tempo. Okay, so I have this fading out like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it should fade out by then already. Okay, I can always put it shorter. Maybe I'll do it 2 bars later, but it depends on the verse guitar part lah. So we double check the tuning, and then now we're going to move on to the next chorus lah. All right. First chorus actually. Okay, so here we go. Same place, 4 bars. 1, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, very cool. All right, spot on. No problems there, man. Okay, let's very quickly. We will same thing. Let's double track. Okay, so we did the left. Now let's do the right. Okay, here we go. 1, 1, 2, 3. Okay, right. If you don't mind, I think maybe the chucks at the start, let's do the same thing as what you did for the intro. We keep it a little bit more consistent, because now here is just 2, right? So what you did earlier was chak 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 chang, right? So maybe we just do that. We just quickly just punch that in lah. Chak 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 chang. Yeah. Okay. Well, ready. 1, 2, 3. Sweet, that's all we need. Okay. Same thing, let's go with the left. 1. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay, that's all we need, man. Okay. So with the wonders of editing, so easy to just punch in a part. Okay, all right. Crossfade. Okay, very cool. Let's look at the next chorus, okay? Okay, so this one, no, this one we don't need anything. I think let's keep it silent. because I have the bass doing a little bit of a little slide there, and maybe some kind of I can hear let's have some kind of some other thing will go on and happen in there. I'm not sure yet. Okay, maybe some keyboard part or something like that. Plus there's also the lead guitar is also still playing on top of it. You see, so maybe there we'll let it have it. Basically, what I want to do is I want to make sure that my kind of philosophy is that every time we transition, right, I don't want it to be exactly the same. I want each transition to be a little bit different. I used to work back then when I was recording my first album and even second album. The producer I work with, right, who is also my mentor, his name is Greg Henderson. So when we did our second album, we had this big rule that we again wrote up, on a on a big piece of paper, and we wrote it there. So it was these three words: no standard fills, right? So basically, what this meant was that every time we transition from a verse to a chorus, from a chorus back to a verse, from a chorus going into a pre-chorus or going to a bridge section or something like that, we always made sure those transitions were special, because again, when the listener hears it, they immediately know, oh, you're getting into a chorus. So there's always that dramatic. It doesn't necessarily always have to be dramatic, okay, but you have a very clear, right? You have a very clear difference that you are transitioning into a different section already. And it helps to push the listener. It keeps the listener interested. You see, he's hearing something new, and then going into the next section instead of hearing, it's the same drum fill, same pattern only. It becomes very repetitive, lah. Right. So this one we just keep it empty. Just come in on the one. Shall we try it? Okay, here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, okay. So I think we were having a little debate last week, right, about this last chord there. If you normally play, you would normally go into the plucking, right? Yeah. Maybe just play it the way that you play it first, without the music first. Yeah. So maybe the ending of the chorus, lah. La, 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 because usually you go straight to that, right? Yeah, okay, all right, cool. So you see in the live, when you're playing live, it's like that. But in the studio, right, you have modern production techniques. You can always make it sound seamless, lah. So I think what we do here, let's do another take, but on that last chord. So instead of going back to a D, it should be going back to the B minor. Yeah, the B power chord. Yeah, okay. Can we do that? Let's try one more, man. Okay, same goes. 4 bars, same thing. 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay. Actually, yeah, you read my mind. Yes, you see, that's cool, man. You read my mind exactly, right? What you did earlier, where you did like a little ring, it actually makes it sound a little bit bigger. The big and bigger entrance. Okay, let's try that. 1, 2, 3, go. B minor. Yeah, just hold it. All right, very cool. Let's double track this. Okay, let's go for the right. Here we go. 2, 3. Right, okay. Listen back to it first. All right, okay, sounding good. So, okay, the still with the same tone, right? Still with this same tone. Actually, when you get to the second, yeah, right, it's actually back with the same tone, right? Okay, cool. Double check tuning first. Always check. You can never not check enough, right? So usually I would do it after each section. I'll just double check the tuning again because it can run. You know? Even the supposedly whatever lah, how expensive your guitar also, it will surely run one after a while. So this would be the part we want to do. One. Yeah. Okay. All good? Go. Let's tune. All right. Pre-chorus. Okay. So just the last one before that, you actually hold the chord, right? Jang, right? Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, cool. Let's try that one more time. I want to listen back with your vocal. I want to listen to how the guitars interact with the vocal. I think maybe you can sort of simplify the part. No, so you still have the open. You open it up, but only on every three of the bars. You see? So instead of jin 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 jan jin 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 jan jin jin jan jin jin jin. So just jin 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 jan jin 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 jan. Okay, right. So then when you're going from the eight from the 8 back to the G, jin, 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 jin. I like what you did here because you opened up a bit. Jin, jin. Yes, exactly, right? Yeah. Well, I don't even have to demonstrate. He knows already what I was going to ask him to do. Okay, cool. Let's try that. Okay. Yeah. Because just having that slight opening, it gives a bit of that aggression there. See. Okay. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. So okay, no worries. Okay, let's do one more go. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Three, off. Perfect. Okay. So one more exactly like that. Spot on. Okay, here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. Spot on. Okay. So just let me trim this here. Now, I think if you sort of notice that whenever I'm kind of, even though I'm recording, I'm always doing I call it housekeeping, you know, always kind of tidying up and cleaning up, the parts of the projects and the tracks. It's kind of sort of a habit that I do, right? And cleaning up, because I don't like to leave it until later. You see, again, if I can see the project kind of looks everything organized, nicely trimmed, and everything, looks neatly and tidy, it kind of helps me to, um, again, it's easier to see, you see, rather than all the blocks here and there everywhere. So partly that's my habit. So again, it's not necessarily something that you have to do. But one thing where this can be very, very valuable is if you ever work with external clients, right? And of course, you must really know your DAW very well. Okay, if you ever start to work with external other clients who are paying you for their time, well, if you can do all these things and edit all these things and do all these things like on the fly in real time like that, you save. If you can save your clients time and money, right? They will actually love you for it. Let's try this and all the way to the end. Right? Simple. Okay. One thing. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now in this case, maybe in this case it can be the open G. Yeah, because this will be a little bit more brighter, a little bit bigger, see. Let's try that again. One more. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's one kind of little, yeah. Sometimes a little bit of a stray note there. Yeah, that's okay. One more time. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Let's punch in on the a little, yeah. Yeah. I think let's double check. Sometimes the intonation on those the intonation on with guitars, they're always a little finicky. Sometimes, especially on the first and second frets, maybe up to the third fret, sometimes the intonation can be a little bit wonky. And this is especially true with Les Pauls, right? Even a Gibson also is going to be an issue. They have the scale length has a little bit of intonation issues. Yeah, just try playing it and see. Do I just play? And then going down to G. Okay, let's listen to it and see. Okay, the D is fine. B minor is fine. Okay. Yeah, better now. Okay, it's just a matter of just double checking the tuning lah. Okay? Yeah. All right. Cool. Here we go. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Okay. Just the those two little scratches. Okay. I think what we do, we punch in on the G. The G. Yes. Okay. Then from there, chick chick. Yeah. Let's go. G. Try playing the G again, because it's one by one. Just plug the note. Slowly, one by one. Plug the note. Again. Keep going. Try playing the G chord. How does it sound to you? It's weird, right? Yeah, I think this is what let's do this. Okay, now, so with guitars, again, this is sometimes you will encounter this situation. Okay, no, here's what you do. You hold the G chord, the chord that you're playing, and we tune according to the chord, right? Sometimes you will find this situation. Sometimes maybe on some chords that are upper on the higher up the fret. Sometimes no choice on. You have to get the guitarist to hold the chord, and then you have to help to tune lah. So sometimes I have to check. So never mind. You just hold the chord. I will tune this. This is where you need 3 hands. So one by one, yeah, or whichever string first. The downside is once I tune so that the G chord sounds in tune, when you start to play a D or A, it might sound a bit off. So complications lah. It's part and parcel of being a guitar player. So yeah, let's double check again. Sounds better now, right? Okay, right. Yeah, these are the weird things like dealing with guitars. Sometimes you just have to play around and compensate, right? Different guitars will exhibit this problem to a different degree lah. Some will have less issues. Some Les Pauls typically will have this kind of a issue. Okay, so let's go in. Let's punch in on that G chord, right? 2, 3. Nice. Okay, let's see. All right, okay. Let's double the G first, because I suspect if we go and do the D, it might sound out of tune. So let's record this back portion. Here we go. Ready? 2, 3, 4. Cool. All right. Do you mind let's doing one more time? In fact, the first one, right? Let's repair the very first one, the one on the left. Here we go. Ready? 3, 4. Yeah, sounds a bit tighter like that. Let's do the first 3 chords, then the D, B minor, A. But let's hear how it sounds. Yeah, just keep it the power cord that way, lah. Yeah. Okay, sounds alright. Okay, let's do it then. Bar 111. Okay, rolling. 2, 3, 4. Right. That should be fine. Okay, listening. Sweet. Okay. Now for the last leg, let's double check one more time. Okay. Then after that, the verse and the bridge. Okay. So now I didn't actually demonstrate to you what I meant earlier. What if we do if we copy and paste? So while Hazim's tuning, maybe very quickly I'll show you. So let's just take this clip. All right. Let's just take this and I'm going to duplicate it. So now here, this one, the front part is double track, okay? But then the second segment here, okay, this one is just copied. So this one, obviously you hear, okay? You can hear it's a stereo straight. Okay, and then let's see what happens. This is the copy and pasted one. No stereo width. It's just mono in the center. Yeah. So that's proof to you that I'm not lying, okay? Okay. All right. So we good? All right. Okay. Let's go for the last chorus and all the way to the outro. All right. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. That's all right. Okay. Spot on. That's really good. No problems there, right? Didn't hear anything, right? I didn't hear any issue. Yeah? Okay. Let's just double track it. Double track. Okay. Ready, go. Ready. 1, 2, 3. Okay, all right. So the last power chord maybe needs a bit more sustain, but again, I'll remember and then we'll probably do it on another track and just layer it on top of it. Okay, so let me just fade this out first. Actually, it's okay, you know, because we're not really going for like a metal, heavily saturated kind of a guitar tone. Right, let's do the verse then. Okay, so the verse is back to this. Okay. Is it this one? Let's listen and see. Cool. All right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Sounds right. Right. So something a little bit lighter lah. Right. Slide overdrive only. Okay. So okay. Let's go with verse. Okay. Coming out of the intro. Yeah. Okay. Ready? Go. 3, 4. Right, okay. Let's check it out first. We might want to fix the pre-chorus. Could be a little bit tighter, right? Okay, but let me just listen to the verse first. All right, okay. Let me just hear one thing. All right. To me, this little part here, the first time round sounded a little bit more consistent. Sounds better to me, lah, tone wise. Just copy and paste only, lah. Okay. So let's do the pre-chorus. Okay. There we go. Okay, ready? 1, 3. Okay, sweet. Listening. Can we punch in on the last bit, I think, because this chord a bit too muted, right? Yeah. We just punch in on the very last part lah. Yeah, okay. Just the very last 3 bars. 2, 3, 4. Okay, nice. Perfect. All right. Okay. Okay. Just let me sort of clean this up first. So second verse, are you doing the same thing? Essentially the same thing, right? Except it's only shorter, lah. Okay, let's try this and see, okay? Now, if it works, then you don't really have to do double the work. See? Okay, 40 bars. Again. Yay! Don't have to record again. Now, when we're dealing with drums, right, with live drums, this one is a bit of a gamble lah, because it really depends. But because in this case the guys have a very solid, very tight drummer, then it will work. Copying and pasting these kind of things will work. But if the drummer is a little bit inconsistent, right? Maybe the second verse, the groove is a little bit different, a little bit inconsistent. Then you find out, when you copy and paste, maybe sometimes, it will not, it doesn't lock in properly, it doesn't groove properly. So when it gets to this kind of situation, you may either have to record again, lah, right? Or maybe edit a little bit, right? But a short part, simple part like that, usually I'll get the guitarist to just record one more time, lah. Okay. All right, cool. I want to sort of add something to these verses. Let's go for like a very clean-ish kind of a sound now. All right. If this only will go to the clean, please. Yes, okay. Let's turn this off. Now I'd want a clean sounds, but here what I want to do is just on some chords. So on this one you just be open chords like that. So on the D, this on the D, okay, no need. Then again, basically all the D only. Yeah, just on the downbeat, so that mean, and then here, then G. Yes, exactly like that. Right? Okay, we're gonna do this. First of all, let's rename this first. Now, one downside of, doing all this, right, recording with 2 mics and then 3 tracks is you end up with a lot of tracks, okay? Just like this, right? You end up with heavy track count. So, it's good lah to have a system where you try and keep all your files and your tracks organized lah. Okay, let's do that. Here we go. So just on the D chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe a little bit lighter. Just it sounded a little too hard. Yeah, just very light. Yes. All right. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Okay. So now this is definitely not something that was originally what they played. I just kind of hear it, so I'll just have have Azim record it first, see how it works later in the mix. Well, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we can always mute it and not use it at all. Lah. Better to have it there than not record it. You see. So I just want to have a little bit of some ear candy going on one side also. You see. So the main part that Hazim played is I point it slightly to the left, then having that single strum like happening right. Maybe I'm gonna put a lot of reverb on it, and so it's like super super soft. But you hear that something going on, in the distance, lah. Right? Just to give a bit of some sonic interest, lah, to the part. Okay, so this is okay. All right, let's chop this so that it ends straight there. So listen to it, huh? I'm trying to listen for see is there a good one. They all also sound exactly the same. Okay. Third one is a little bit louder, but that should be fine. That's okay. Again, we are not dealing with sample music or loops, lah. So a little bit of human dynamics is fine. Okay, maybe this will be a good time to just slap in maybe something. Okay, let me put in this little amp sim. This is Overloud by this is THU by the company Overloud. So let me put maybe super ambient to see how it sounds like. It's got a super long reverb to it. And then, make this thin, just roll out all the bass, bring all the treble. Let's bring the drive down. All right. So have this one like super super ambient, and we'll see. I may even mute the main ones, or even do something crazy. Maybe let's see how it sounds if we pitch shifted it up one octave. You maybe get the kind of angelic, kind of a shimmer kind of thing. So this is pitch shifted up one octave, like a 12 string. I think. Maybe let's do it with Hazim's main part. It sounds like some organ organ pattern. Nah, okay. Don't have to. Don't need. Okay. Let's mute that. Let's keep that original. Just messing around, lah, right? See what kind of things will happen. Okay, so Let's see what else. Okay, so now I guess we go back to the slightly overdriven sound, right? Let's go back to this and we do the bridge. Okay, we can play around with something here. Okay, so I'm gonna play around with this little thing. Let's see how it sounds. All right. I just took the chord and just reversed it. I don't know whether this will be applicable. Maybe not here. Maybe I'll put it at the end. Okay. KIV first. But the option is there, I think. Okay. Let me just put some color to it so that I know it's there. Okay, right. So the color coding, you find your own way to sort of manage and manage the project lah. Okay, so in this case, right, I kind of follow whatever the default color is, the default color set. So the drums, I all make them the color set number 1, then followed by whatever's next, like bass color number 2, color number 3. So if I want to mark something weird, something odd, then I will go like all the way to like the last color. See, then I know, this is out of order, right? So you find your own ways, lah, right? Maybe you want to make notes. You can also make notes, or you also can. That will be the old school manual way. Or internally, I'm sure most DAWs will have some form of project notepad inside. See, so you can always like type in your notes in here. Yeah, notes like such as remember to tune. Okay, then you can always save it. Okay, let's go for the bridge. Okay, before we do that, let me just kind of send this to let me just send this to the right group. Okay. Again, slight sidetrack. Great. You see the way I sort of organize my tracks. Again, you see it a little bit clearly when I talk about later in the mix, right? So all the drums in this case, for example, right? I show you from here. This will be a little bit easier up here so you can see. So all the drums in this case are all going to, right? Going to this drum group. So I'm routing it to a certain group. So same thing, the distortion guitars, I'm sending it to all the distortion group. All the verse guitars, I'm sending it to another group. So it's easier to manage and to process later on. So instead of having to process one by one on each single track, you do an EQ, you send it to a group, then you EQ that group, you see? It's because you're treating the whole thing as one whole thing. So instead of having to use so many EQs or so many effects or reverbs, just send it to a group, process it, treat it as one. That's all. Okay, so where were we? Okay, bridge, right? Okay, cool. Okay, right, stand by. Coming out of chorus lah. 1, 1, 2. was good. No issues there, man. Okay, but I think I know what I need to do. I need to put it on another track because when I record, when it's on this same track, then the whatever my mix balance setting was for earlier, yeah, it's way too soft. So let me just drag it into these tracks lah. Okay, let's drag it into here. Let's call it B guitar 160, B guitar 650, B guitar DI. Okay, now if you notice, right, I only double track only the main distortion rhythm parts, right? Parts like the verses and even in the bridge, right? You don't need to, I feel I don't need to double. I would just need to only just hear one guitar, okay? Now, again, it depends on your production decision, lah, right? I think, I'm not sure, was it some of you guys who asked about double tracking? Was it you or someone that asked me a question before? When or what to double track? So my answer, right, is you double track what needs to be double tracked. I know it's not really an answer, okay? But it really boils down to that. If you want that part to be sound like a double track guitar, you know, pan left, pan right, okay? Then you double track it. But production wise, if you want to just sound like a single guitar, then single guitar lah, no need, right? Of course, if you want to get the guitarist to do more work, you know, if you know they're paying by the hour or something like that, okay lah, then double track everything, more work, more time, you see. But then in the end, in the mix, you can always choose not to use. You can just use one, right? So in this case, right, we don't need to double track this sort of a part. Okay, let's listen to it and see. Good, good, right? Wow, he also approved good all the way there. Right, all the way there. And yeah, there's no compression, no EQ and everything. So you know, it really helps me as a producer, as an engineer, when your player, you know, is not only tight but you know dynamically under control, right? So especially this kind of plucking parts, you know, some guitarists, you know, they control dynamic control is may not be there, right? But Hazim did a really great job. It's nice, it's smooth, everything is nice and even, without using any compressor, huh? Just straight plug into the amp. Okay, let's see. Okay, let me just solo this. Maybe I want to add some effects to this. So again, the DI track is always handy. It's always very useful, you know, because you can always mess around with it, right? Without fear of, you know, ruining or spoiling the whatever the original tracks are. So let's just see. Jangly Foxy Rhythm. Jangly. So this is an AC30. Let's put let's put a delay. Again, I just want to make it a little bit more ambient. And then just blend it in and see. Another benefit of recording with a DI in this case, you actually, even though you're recording the same performance, when you pan it left and right, because it's different, because we know when you have the DI signal and another one that's being picked up by the amp and the mic, because there are differences between the two, right? So even though it's a clean sound, right? Even if we record a clean sound on the amp and a clean sound on the DI, because there are those differences, here you can get a stereo spread. You see, you can get a stereo spread. So I'm gonna try doing this. You see, so the mic on one side and the DI track on the another side. See? So from one performance, one take, you can still get a stereo kind of image out of it. All right, sweet. There you have it. Okay, so all the main rhythm guitar parts. Excellent. Very nice one. Okay, so no pressure. Let's put the amp back on the standby first. So always do that if you're doing amps before you unplug anything, okay? Right? Because otherwise, poof, you get a loud pop or something like that. Okay, so everyone, so this is the rhythm guitar tracking. Okay, so let's take a short break, right? Let's take a little short break, then we move on to do the lead guitars after this.